talked about or discussed with these guys is because this guy won 1 ring or won 2 rings or won, like, it's just weird to me. It's like saying Peyton Manning.
Hope we see a level of toughness with the game coming back, and I hope he calls everybody out.
Well,
I hope he calls everybody.
There's a storm forming over the NBA, and its name is Michael Jordan, not the player in the red and black, not the billionaire owner in the luxury box, but something far more dangerous to today's league, the truth teller, the man whose voice doesn't need volume to dominate a room, the man whose silence has always been louder than most players' careers. And now, according to Stephen A. Smith, that silence is about to end. This isn't hype. This isn't promotion. This is a warning. Stephen A. Smith didn't casually suggest that Jordan will be honest when he steps into his new role. He emphasized brutal honesty, the kind that makes executives uncomfortable, exposes locker room entitlement, and strips away media-created myths. Jordan is not come and play the role of a friendly ambassador. He's not here to shake hands, protect feelings, or reinforce narratives that the league has carefully packaged for public consumption. He's coming to tell the truth, and the NBA has not dealt with that kind of presence in decades. What makes this moment so explosive is timing. Today's NBA exists in an ecosystem of branding, image management, player empowerment, and social media protection. Criticism is often softened. Accountability is selective. Failure is reframed. Jordan comes from an era where excuses were irrelevant and performance was the only currency. If you weren't good enough, you heard it. If you weren't tough enough, you were exposed. And if you didn't want the truth, that wasn't his problem. That Jordan's honesty won't just rattle fans debating at barbershops. It will send shockwaves through front offices, locker rooms, and media studios. General managers who survive behind narratives will suddenly be exposed. Players protected by hype will be evaluated on effort, mentality, and results. Analysts who built careers pushing comfortable comparisons may find themselves cornered by reality. And hovering over all of this is a question no one can avoid. What will Michael Jordan say about LeBron James? For over 2 decades, LeBron has lived in Jordan's shadow, marketed as a successor, debated as his equal, defended as his rival. But acceptance from Jordan himself has never come. Respect? Yes. Embrace? No. And Jordan has never explained why. Until now. Perhaps. Jordan doesn't argue on television. He doesn't tweet. He doesn't campaign. When he speaks, it's because he means it. And when he evaluates LeBron, it won't be through stats alone. It will be through mindset, competitive fire, accountability, and how one carries greatness. Will Jordan finally end the GOAT debate? Or will his words pour gasoline on an already raging fire? Stephen A. Smith makes it clear. This is not about nostalgia. This is about accountability. Jordan is not here to relive the past. He's here to measure the present against it. And that's what makes people nervous. Because the modern NBA, for all its talent, has grown image conscious, comfort driven, and at times too forgiving of underperformance. Jordan's presence threatens that culture. He doesn't reward potential. He doesn't applaud effort without results. He doesn't respect shortcuts. Some players will bristle at his words. Others, quietly, will welcome them. Because deep down, even in today's soft environment, real competitors crave truth. They want to know where they stand without filters, without PR, without protection. Jordan will give them that whether they're ready or not. This moment sets a stage for a new dialogue in the NBA, one that values substance over style, dominance over branding, and results over reputation. It will divide opinions. It will spark outrage. It will create headlines. But one thing is guaranteed. It will not be ignored. The league has spent years debating greatness. Now greatness itself is about to speak.
And I don't think that he's going to be shy about saying what he sees at all. In fact, if he is, he's going to have to deal with me because I'm going to be in his ear telling him, oh, we getting shy now. But that's what we do. That's what we do. That ain't the one I named him MJ, I know.
Stephen A. Smith, doubling down on this point, tells you everything you need to know about how serious Michael Jordan's return is going to be. This isn't hype. This isn't media tour. This is a man who has never been comfortable with half-truths, stepping back into a league that has grown used to them. The Michael Jordan Stephen A. knows does not soften his words. He never has. When Jordan speaks, he doesn't float opinions. He cuts. And that edge isn't about being cruel or provocative for ratings. It's about standards. Jordan talks from a place very few people can claim. He didn't just play the game, he defined excellence inside it. Every championship benchmark, every competitiveness comparison, every killer instinct debate traces back to him. That's why his voice will hit differently when he evaluates this generation. Jordan won't dance around uncomfortable subjects. Load management will be called exactly what he sees it as. Inconsistent defensive effort will be exposed. The culture of players forming alliances instead of trying to conquer each other will be questioned openly. He won't pretend things are fine just to protect feelings or avoid backlash. Jordan never cared about being liked, only about being right, and that honesty will create friction. Some players who grew up idolizing him may suddenly find themselves feeling judged by the very standard they once celebrated. That sting will be real, but that's also where the separation happens. Jordan has always believed that pressure reveals truth. Comfort hides it. If his words make people uncomfortable, that's not a flaw in his approach. That's the point. What makes this moment powerful is that no one is exempt. Not stars, not coaches, not front offices, not media narratives. Jordan's lens doesn't care about reputation or branding. It cares about effort, mentality, accountability, and results. If those don't measure up, the mirror gets held up anyway. And then there's the unavoidable question. How does this honesty apply to LeBron James? Jordan won't attack LeBron emotionally or dismiss his greatness. That's not his style. But he also won't inflate it. He'll judge LeBron the same way he judges everyone else. By competitive fire, by willingness to embrace pressure, by how dominance was asserted when it mattered most. That evaluation, spoken plainly and without agenda, may be the most explosive moment of all. Not because it's disrespectful, but because it's unfiltered. This isn't about tearing players down. It's about restoring clarity in a league that's been clouded by narratives and protection. Jordan's voice will remind everyone what greatness actually demands. And whether the league likes it or not, that kind of truth has a way of reshaping everything it touches.
LeBron may have hurt the league. Fine, I can side with that. Not for the reasons you're articulating. Is when he joined Miami. You had everybody trying to join with one another.
That joke from Stephen A. actually says a lot more than it sounds on the surface. When he says he'll be in Jordan's ear, if MJ ever starts holding back, it's playful. But it's also a warning shot to the entire league. Because everyone who truly knows Michael Jordan knows this much. Silence has never been his comfort zone when standards are being lowered. The idea that Jordan would tiptoe around today's NBA culture is almost comical. What Stephen A. is really pointing out is a tension between eras. Modern players exist inside a protective bubble, media training, brand advisors, social media managers, and carefully curated narratives. In that environment, honesty is often mislabeled as hate, accountability is framed as disrespect, and criticism is treated like betrayal. Jordan comes from a time when criticism was fuel, not an attack. So if Jordan starts calling out low effort, selective competitiveness, load management without urgency, or rivalries that exist more on Instagram and on the court, it's going to shock people. Not because he's wrong, but because the league hasn't heard that kind of direct truth in a long time. Stephen A. is making it clear this won't be some ceremonial legend drops wisdom tour. This will be sharp. It will be pointed. And yes, at times, it will feel personal, because standards are personal. Jordan understands something many have forgotten. There's a difference between respect and silence. Respect doesn't mean you avoid hard conversations. Silence does. And Jordan has never confused the two. His absence over the years allowed the league to slowly drift away from tough love, from internal accountability, from the idea that greatness should be uncomfortable. That silence made people forget what it feels like to be truly challenged. Now that he's stepping back in, with Stephen A. amplifying the moment, the pressure flips. Jordan won't be speaking from bitterness or ego. He'll be speaking from legacy. And that's where the sting comes from. Legacy doesn't argue. It doesn't beg. It simply measures you against what was possible. When Jordan speaks, players will have a choice. Rise to the standard or recoil from it. There's no middle ground when the benchmark walks into the room. That's why this moment matters. The loudest voice in basketball history was never the one that shouted the most. It was the one that spoke only when it mattered. And now, The league is about to hear it again.
Level of toughness with the game coming back, and I hope he calls everybody out.
Well,
I hope he calls everybody.
This is exactly where Stephen A.'s point gets misunderstood by a lot of people, and why Jordan potential commentary would hit so hard. When Stephen A. says he agrees that LeBron's Miami move hurt the league, but not for the lazy reasons people usually give, he's shifting the conversation from individual choice to league culture. This isn't about hating on player freedom or pretending LeBron didn't have the right to make that decision. It's about what that decision normalized. Before Miami, the league's tension was built on collision courses. You didn't escape your rivals. You overcame them. Jordan didn't look at the Pistons and think, let me join forces. He took the losses, absorbed the punishment, and came back stronger until the mountain broke. That struggle didn't just create championships. It created mythology. It trained fans to value resilience over convenience. LeBron's move changed that psychology. Once the best player in the world publicly chose collaboration over confrontation, it sent a signal. Beating them isn't required if you can align with them. From that moment on, stars began prioritizing alignment, fit, and optics over rivalry. The league didn't become less talented, but it did become less hostile. And hostility, for better or worse, is where legendary competition lives. That's why Jordan would never see this as progress. To him, competition isn't about efficiency or optimization. It's about domination through adversity. Super teams flatten the emotional stakes. They remove the long arcs, the scars, the years of failure that make eventual success meaningful. Jordan believes greatness is supposed to hurt before it heals. And if Jordan says that out loud, it won't land softly. Because LeBron isn't just a player, he's a symbol of this era. Critiquing the culture means critiquing the face of it, whether intentional or not. That doesn't mean disrespect. It means accountability. Jordan doesn't challenge to diminish. He challenges to expose what's missing. That's the brutal honesty Stephen A. is warning about. Not insults, not personal shots, but a philosophical indictment of what the league has rewarded over the past 15 years. Players may feel singled out, but the message won't be you failed. It will be the standard moved, and not upward. If that conversation happens, it will be uncomfortable. It will reignite old debates. And yes, it will put LeBron under a microscope again. But it might also force the NBA to ask itself a question that's avoided for too long. Do we value winning? Or do we value the struggle that makes winning matter? If Jordan brings that fire back into the discourse, the league won't just be debating the GOAT. It'll be debating what greatness is supposed to look like in the first place.
It's because this guy won one ring or won two rings or one, it's just weird to me. It's like saying Peyton Manning.
When Patrick echoed David Ewing's hope that Michael Jordan would finally call out those damaging the integrity of the modern game, it wasn't just a throwaway comment. It reflected a growing frustration shared by fans, former players, and analysts who feel the NBA has drifted away from its core competitive values. Stephen A. Smith agreeing with that sentiment only amplified how serious the concern has become. There is a clear hunger for accountability at the highest level, and if there is one figure capable of delivering it without hesitation, it is Michael Jordan. Jordan's return in any authoritative or commentary role would represent far more than a media appearance. It would be an injection of truth into a league culture increasingly shaped by excessive praise, protected egos, and carefully managed narratives. Many insiders see the problems, but few are willing to say them out loud. Jordan is different. His legacy gives him immunity from backlash, and his personality guarantees he will not soften his words to protect feelings or brands. What makes Jordan uniquely powerful is that his voice transcends nostalgia and statistics. He represents a standard of excellence that was earned, enforced, and defended. While others might fear challenging today's stars or the league's power structure, Jordan would not hesitate. His criticism would not be dismissed as bitterness or old-school thinking. It would be respected as a reality check coming from the ultimate authority on winning and competitiveness. Patrick's statement highlights just how urgent this moment feels. The modern NBA is increasingly driven by storylines, image management, and marketable narratives rather than relentless competition. Jordan's presence has the potential to rebalance that equation. Players may resist his honesty at first, but fans and analysts understand its value. When Jordan speaks, it is not for attention. It is to restore standards, and that is why his brutal truth-telling is not only welcomed, it is necessary. Real change does not come from whispers or safe commentary. It comes from voices strong enough to challenge the game to be better. Michael Jordan is one of the few voices capable of doing exactly that.